To the people of Somalia, we at the IMF are proud to be one of your partners and will continue to support you along the way to a better future.
Debt relief stands as one of the most profound levers for economic transformation, especially in nations burdened by a history of unsustainable debt. Somalia, after nearly a decade of economic restructuring, has reached a pivotal milestone with $4.5 billion in debt forgiveness, a move that dramatically reduces its debt-to-GDP ratio from a crippling 64% in 2018 to under 6% by the end of 2023. This achievement, part of the Heavily Indebted Poor Countries (HIPC) initiative, signals Somalia's transition from financial distress toward fiscal autonomy and sustainable growth. But debt relief is more than just numbers on a balance sheet. It is a reset, allowing Somalia to channel its resources into critical areas like healthcare, education, infrastructure, and poverty reduction, directly impacting millions of citizens. Today, we'll explore what this debt forgiveness means, demystify common misconceptions, and compare Somalia's journey to other nations that have navigated similar paths. Debt forgiveness, or debt relief, is the reduction or elimination of a country's debt by creditors, allowing it to reset its finances and focus on essential services instead of debt repayments. For heavily indebted countries, debt forgiveness provides an opportunity to break free from a debt trap, where high interest payments limit funds available for development. For Somalia, this meant meeting the rigorous criteria set by the Heavily Indebted Poor Countries (HIPC) initiative. Reaching the HIPC completion point required a decade of fiscal and structural reforms involving public financial management, revenue collection, and governance improvements. So while debt forgiveness reduces a country's obligations, it also requires significant commitment and policy reform. The $4.5 billion in debt relief provided to Somalia came from multiple sources, including multilateral institutions, bilateral agreements, and commercial creditors. This comprehensive package reduced Somalia's external debt obligations by nearly 90%, cutting it down to a manageable level and freeing Somalia from the heavy financial burdens it carried for decades. Previously, Somalia's debt totaled $5.3 billion, with interest and fees that took up significant portions of its annual budget. In practical terms, this relief means Somalia's debt-to-GDP ratio fell from a crippling 64% in 2018 to less than 66% in 2023, giving the government newfound fiscal space to focus on development rather than debt payments. Now, freed from these burdens, Somalia can expand social programs. The government is now piloting a national safety net initiative, which reaches over 3.7 million people, primarily women and children, through cash transfers linked to nutrition and emergency aid. The program, supported by the World Bank, is expected to grow, providing assistance to nearly 1/4 of Somalia's population by 2025. For Somali citizens, this increased investment in essential services addresses immediate needs and builds resilience against future challenges. These social programs provide direct support to the most vulnerable families, especially those facing food insecurity and poverty exacerbated by climate shocks. This is one of the most tangible outcomes of debt forgiveness. It enables a nation to invest in its people rather than its past obligations. Beyond social services, debt relief improves Somalia's profile as an investment destination. With a drastically reduced debt-to-GDP ratio and a track record of policy reforms, Somalia is now more attractive to foreign investors, paving the way for economic growth and job creation, particularly in key sectors like agriculture, fisheries, and renewable energy. But let's address some common misconceptions about debt forgiveness. The first misconception is that debt relief is simply a bailout with no strings attached. In reality, most debt relief programs come with conditions, policies that aim to prevent the country from falling back into unsustainable debt. Another misconception is that debt forgiveness fixes a country's economy overnight. Debt relief provides fiscal breathing room, but it doesn't solve underlying economic issues. Somalia still faces high levels of poverty and must continue its reforms to build a sustainable economy. Finally, some assume that once debt is forgiven, the country won't face financial scrutiny again. In reality, countries receiving debt relief are often subject to ongoing monitoring by the IMF and World Bank to ensure that they continue on a sustainable path. Somalia's journey mirrors the experiences of other nations that have completed the HEPI process, each facing unique challenges. Uganda, for instance, reached completion point in 2000 and used its debt relief to invest in primary education and healthcare, which helped reduce poverty over the following decade. Ghana's debt relief in 2004 enabled it to fund infrastructure and social programs that increased school enrollment and healthcare access. However, Ghana and Zambia's experiences highlight the importance of post-relief fiscal discipline as both countries later reaccumulated debt. These examples underscore that debt forgiveness provides a crucial opportunity, but sustained governance and responsible economic management are essential to avoid slipping back into unsustainable debt. Ultimately, Somalia's debt relief marks a new beginning. It offers a chance for the government to focus on the needs of its people, to strengthen its institutions, and to pursue a vision of economic stability and growth. For Somali citizens, this relief brings not just financial reprieve, but the promise of a more resilient and inclusive future, one built on the foundation of sound policies, transparent governance, and opportunities for development. Somalia's journey through debt relief is not merely a story of financial recovery. It is a testament to resilience and reform in the face of enduring challenges. This $4.5 billion relief opens new avenues for investment, strengthens public confidence in government, and provides the Somali people with a foundation for improved social services and economic opportunity. However, debt forgiveness is a beginning, not an end. The experiences of nations like Uganda and Ghana underscore that sustainable progress requires continuous reform, fiscal responsibility, and transparent governance to avoid slipping back into debt dependence. For Somalia, this moment is an invitation to reshape its future, an opportunity to foster inclusive growth, attract foreign investment, and build institutions that can withstand external shocks. Debt relief, then, is both a privilege and a responsibility, demanding long-term commitment from Somalia's leaders and engagement from its citizens. Together, they hold the power to transform this historic debt forgiveness into a lasting legacy of resilience, self-reliance, and shared prosperity.